Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the League 2 Transfer Roundup. I think we're on week number 3 now. If you do go on to enjoy, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well. If you are new, can we try and hit 100 likes on today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. What do you believe has been the best piece of business completed over the last 7 days? How would you assess your club's transfer window so far, and have I missed any further transfers?
Accrington Stanley have done no business.
They haven't, you're right.
None.
Barnet have though. They've brought in Scott High, a 24-year-old central midfielder, on a free transfer from Huddersfield Town. Owen Evans is a 28-year-old goalkeeper. He's come in from Cheltenham Town as well on a free transfer. And I think that summarises all of Barnet's business so far, but they have been fairly active in the transfer window. In terms of Barrow, they've made a couple of signings. Charlie Raglan has come in from Oldham Athletic, 32-year-old centre-half. Obviously, a wealth of experience. He comes in from Oldham Athletic. They also brought in Tyler Walker, a 28-year-old centre-forward from Lincoln City, on a free transfer. Massively struggled with injuries over the last couple of seasons, and if you can keep him fit, he might do all right, but I don't particularly see that signing working out. They've also brought in Lewis Shipley, a 21-year-old centre-back from Norwich City's under-21s. Don't really know too much about him, if I'm being completely honest. And they made their first loan addition of the window. Michael Adupoku, a 19-year-old right-winger, has come in from Watford's under-21s on loan for what I can only assume is the full campaign. Barrow are yet to have any further departures, but Bristol Rovers have been fairly active.
Bristol Rovers have signed Alfie Kilgore, Haley Cropper. Who is it? Silver Nails?
Macaulay Silver Nails.
Macaulay Silver Nails, fantastic player. Lovely bit of kit. Jack Sparks.
We've already spoken about Jack Sparks.
We've done him. And who else?
Brad Young,
cracking player. And Josh McEachran. Good midfielder.
They've all come in on free transfers. McEachran has played a lot of football for Oxford over the last couple of years. Salvan Hills, if you can keep him fit, will be comfortably the best wing-back in the division next season. Alfie Kilgore returned to the club, having struggled with injuries really at Mansfield Town. I think him making that step back down into League 2 is certainly something which did need to happen. Brad Young, I'm not too clued up on, in all honesty. He's come in from Leicester's under-21s, despite the fact that he is 23 years of age. But Bristol Rovers have had a positive start to the transfer window. In terms of Bromley, I think we have previously mentioned William Hondermack, who's come in, so I don't think there's any further business to be mentioned there because they've had no further outgoings. In terms of Cambridge, they've made a couple of signings. They brought in Zach Bradshaw, a 21-year-old centre-back, on a free transfer from Lincoln. I'm pretty sure we mentioned Don Ball in the last episode. They've also brought in Ben Purrington, a 29-year-old centre-back, on a free transfer from Exeter, and Ben Hughes, a 21-year-old goalkeeper, on a free transfer from Swansea's under-21s, after Marco Morosi did turn down a new deal with the club to sign for League 1 side at Port Vale. Obviously, he did really deserve to make that step back up into League 1. I do think he is too good to be playing in League 2. In terms of Cheltenham Town, they finally made a couple of additions. Firstly, they brought in 28-year-old centre-back Robbie Cundy. He's come in on a free transfer from Notts County. Hasn't really worked out for him for the last couple of seasons, so we're looking to play regularly at Cheltenham Town. And they also brought in 30-year-old striker Lee Angle from Morecambe FC on a free transfer. Obviously, last couple of seasons he's been involved with Morecambe and Sutton, who have both been relegated out of League 2. Can he make it a hat-trick this season with Cheltenham Town? I don't think they've had any further departures either. Chesterfield FC confirmed the addition of 25-year-old striker Lee Bonney, who's come in on an undisclosed fee from ADO Den Haag. Don't really know much about him, but obviously he will have been playing in the Dutch top division, and I do think that'll prove to be, for their sake, probably a decent signing, because they've got a wealth of experience at the top of the pitch with the likes of Paddy Madden, the likes of Will Grigg. They did need somebody a little bit younger, and I don't think they've had any further departures. In terms of Colchester United, they brought in 30-year-old midfielder Dom Gape, who's come in on a free transfer from Shrewsbury Town, and they also made the loan of Jack Tucker permanent following his release from MK Dons, a 25-year-old centre-back. He's gone in there on a free transfer. In terms of Crawley Town, they brought in Kabongo Shamanga, a 27-year-old striker from Peterborough. Definitely a downgrade on Will Swan. Never really done it in the Football League. Only got a couple of open play goals last season for Swindon. Very good penalty taker, but his open play, overall play, isn't particularly amazing. They also brought in 24-year-old striker Danny Cashman on a free transfer from Worthing. He's done very well in the National League system over the last couple of seasons, scored a decent amount of goals, and I think that could prove to be a decent signing. They also brought in Jay Williams. He's obviously returned to the club after signing for MK Dons under Scott Lindsay in January. A 24-year-old holding midfielder, got in there on an undisclosed fee. And they also brought in Harvey Davies, a 21-year-old goalkeeper, on loan from Liverpool for the rest of this season. They did lose Jeremy Kelly though, the best player in the world, as Scott Lindsay called him. 27-year-old midfielder. He's gone back over to America with Charleston on a free transfer. We have seen a few other departures as well. I think Rory Feely, we didn't mention him previously, he's joined Cork City for an undisclosed fee, and Will Swan has obviously made a step back up into League One with Bradford City. 24-year-old striker, 10 goal contributions in 31 appearances last season. Great signing for the Bantams, and I think that will prove to be a big blow for Crawley. Crewe Alexandra had a couple of further additions. Phil Crocker is an 18-year-old centre-back who's come in from Oxford City. I know absolutely nothing about him, but we know Crewe like to sign and buy these younger players and develop them on for a profit. They also brought in 25-year-old left-back Reece Hutchinson. He's come in on an undisclosed fee from Sligo Rovers. Again, not massively clued up on the Irish divisions, but 25 years of age is the type of profile that you do expect Crewe to be signing. They haven't had any further outgoings. In terms of Fleetwood Town, they signed Denver Hume, a 26-year-old left-back, on a free transfer from fellow League Two side Grimsby. Obviously outstanding going forward last campaign. Defensively, did leave a little bit to be desired at times, but I do think that'll, hopefully for their sake, prove to be a smart signing. I think we mentioned Will Davies in the last episode, so they haven't had any further departures. We've obviously already Phoenix Patterson making that step up into League One. In terms of Gillingham, they brought in Sam Vokes and Andy Smith. Sam Vokes, firstly, is a 35-year-old centre forward. He's come in on a free transfer from Wickham. I had previously suggested that Sam Vokes should sign for Gillingham, and obviously that has officially now gone through. And Andy Smith was on loan with the Gills last campaign, and he's gone in there on an undisclosed fee. They're yet to have any further departures, but Grimsby have been fairly active. They brought in a 23-year-old left-back, Jaden Sweetney. He's come in on a free transfer from Leyton Orient. Hasn't really got the game time he's been looking for over the last couple of seasons, and will obviously go in there and be that Denver Hume replacement. They also brought in Jamie Walker, a 32-year-old attacking midfielder, on a free transfer from Bradford City. He did very well in his 3.5-year stay with the Bantams, and at 32 years of age, still has got a lot of life left to give. I think Grimsby will probably achieve promotion with him in that team. If you can keep him fit, I think he could easily get 15 to 20 goal contributions next season for Grimsby. Last season with Bradford City, his game time was a little bit limited, and he did have some inconsistencies at times, but when he does perform to his best, he is a top League Two player. He could easily still do a job in League One for Bradford City, but obviously we've looked to go in a different direction. And they also brought in Jays Kabaya, a 24-year-old striker from Truro City, on an undisclosed fee. Can't say I know much about him, but I do think the signing of Jamie Walker is one that definitely does stand out, and I don't think they've had any further departures. Jordan Wright is a 26-year-old goalkeeper who has signed for a fellow League Two side as well.
Harrogate Town have done no further transfer business.
They haven't, but MK Dons have. They brought in Will Collar, a 28-year-old central midfielder from Stockport County. He's gone in there on a free transfer. Obviously, massive signing for MK Dons. Could have easily still done a job at League One level. Could have probably still done a job with Stockport County. He is a top player, and at 28 years of age, still has a lot to give. I think that is a brilliant sign, and surely MK Dons are going to be breaking some kind of points record this campaign. And as we've previously spoke about, Jack Tucker has joined Colchester, and Jay Williams has joined at Crawley Town for an undisclosed fee. In terms of Newport County, they are the destination of 26-year-old goalkeeper Jordan Wright. He's gone in there from Grimsby Town on a free transfer. I think that's an okay-ish replacement for Nick Townsend. They've also brought in Lee Jenkins, a 23-year-old centre-back. I think we've previously mentioned that one. And they've also brought in Michael Reindorf, a 20-year-old striker who's come in from Cardiff's under-21s on loan for the full campaign. Don't really know much about him, but hopefully they're not going to be relying on a 20-year-old to be their main outlet of goals next campaign. In terms of departures for Newport, we're yet to see any further movement in that department. Notts County, they brought in Harry Griffiths, a 20-year-old goalkeeper, on a free transfer from Nottingham's under-21s. I don't really know much about him. I anticipate he's going to be the backup this season. Obviously, they did need to bring a goalkeeper in with Alex Bass joining Peterborough. He's made a step up into League One, 27 years of age, rumoured £300,000 fee. Yes, it's a big blow for Notts County, but for £300,000, I think they've certainly got to take that kind of money. But obviously with the appointment of their new manager, the former Martin Patterson, and some of the business have done, losing McGoldrick, losing Alex Bass, the replacement so far, I think Notts could be in for a mid-table season next campaign. In terms of Oldham Athletic, they've brought in 31-year-old left midfielder Luke Hannon. He's come in on a free transfer from Gateshead. They've also brought in 31-year-old right midfielder Kieran Morris, who's come in on a free transfer from Tranmere Rovers. Obviously Mickey Mellon would have worked with him at the Super White Army. Jake Leake is a 22-year-old left back who's joined from Hull City's under-21s on a free transfer. Josh Hawkes, again, another man who will have worked with Mickey Mellon at Tranmere. He's gone in there on a free transfer, 26 years of age. And they've also brought in Donovan Daniels, a 31-year-old centre-back from Walsall, on a free transfer. He's certainly going to provide a wealth of experience. And as we know, obviously Charlie Raglan, I think, did turn down a new deal with the club to sign for fellow League 2 side at Barrow AFC. In terms of Salford City, they've brought in Loic Ayena, a 22-year-old centre-back from Huddersfield's B team, on a free transfer. Can't really say I know much about him. And they also brought in 24-year-old centre-forward Jay Bird. He's come in on an undisclosed fee from Exeter, as mentioned on the League 1 roundup on Monday. Not really a player that I do know much about. Junior Luamba, a 22-year-old right winger, has joined Carlisle United for an undisclosed fee. I don't think he was ever really going to make it at Salford this season, so for their sake to get a bit of money in, it was a smart move. In terms of Shrewsbury Town, they brought in a 26-year-old centre-back Sam Stubbs on a free transfer from Bradford City. I do think that is a good signing for Shrewsbury. He had the odd mistake in him last season with Cheltenham, but I think you could certainly do a lot worse than Sam Stubbs at this level. They also brought in 26-year-old right-back Tom Sang, who's come in on a free transfer from Port Vale. Again, did the job at times for the Valiants last campaign, but was never going to be good enough to make that step up into League One, and I do think will be a smart signing for the Salop. And they also brought in 29-year-old centre-back Will Boyle. He's come in on an undisclosed fee from Wrexham. Obviously didn't play that much football last campaign. When he originally went in there from Huddersfield, I thought he'd be play a key part in Wrexham's success, but didn't really play much at all last campaign, and obviously he has now joined Shrewsbury. I think that is a really, really good signing for League 2 level. We saw Dom Gape obviously join Colchester, and Morgan Feeney has also joined Carlisle as well. Swindon Town brought in a proven goal scorer Jake Tabor, a 22-year-old striker from Amersham Town, for an undisclosed fee. Obviously he scored like 150 goals in 120 appearances over the last 3 seasons, something crazy like that. He has jumped up about 7 divisions, so it'll be interesting to see if he can make that big step up into League 2. But I think if he goes in there next season and gets maybe 6-8 goals, something like that, I do think that'll be a successful gamble. And at League 2 level, Swindon under Ian Holloway are the type of club that can take a gamble on somebody like a Jake Tabor. You could end up selling him for £2 million, or because it's only a 1-year deal, you release him at the end of his contract and he goes back to somewhere in the non-league system and starts scoring a lot of goals in there again. They've not had any further departures. In terms of Tranmere Rovers, they've brought in 33-year-old defensive midfielder Jason Lowe. He's come in on a free transfer from Port Vale. Again, Andy Crosby will have previously worked with Jason Lowe, I would anticipate. I do think that'll be a smart addition for Tranmere, a bit of experience in that midfield. We did see a fair few departures this week though from Tranmere, the likes of Kieran Morris and Josh Hawkes joining Oldham Athletic, and Brad Walker also making a step back down into non-league to sign for Hartlepool. In terms of Walsall, they've been fairly active over the last week or so. They brought in a 24-year-old left back Vincent Harper. He's come in on a free transfer from Exeter City. I think this is the sort of age profile that clearly Walsall have been looking to recruit, and in fact at 24, Harper is the oldest player that Walsall have signed, and they've made about 5 or 6 signings so far. They also brought in 23-year-old striker Aaron Presley. He's come in on an undisclosed fee from League 1 side Stevenage. I think could prove to be a smart signing for Walsall, but you look at their options going forward, they've got 6-7 strikers, and there's none of them that are really massively standing out to me that are going to score even double figures next campaign. But if Presley's gone in there for around 100 grand, I think that might prove to be a decent signing for Walsall. They also brought in Johnny Stutzel, a 19-year-old striker on loan from Bournemouth's under-21s. They'll obviously be hoping what's happened over the last 3 seasons isn't going to happen this year, in the way of they bring a striker in on loan, then they get recalled in January and Walsall massively fall off. Obviously the big one was Nathan Lowe last season. They had Freddie Draper the season before that, and even Danny Johnson the year before that one. They also brought in a 23-year-old goalkeeper Miles Roberts. He's come in on loan from Watford for the remainder of this this season. Obviously, they had Tommy Simkin on loan at last campaign. They're now going in a different direction, and they've brought in Miles Roberts in that position. They haven't had any further departures. Taylor Allen actually did join at Wycombe Wanderers for an undisclosed fee, rumoured £500,000. Great player for Walsall, got that about 20 goal contributions last season from centre-half, but obviously this season he was never going to stay in League Two, and I do think it is a smart signing for Wycombe, if I'm being completely honest.
Thank you very much for watching my shirt. And if you did enjoy, please like it. And also, if you like my feet, like it as well, because it's no mean feat standing still for 20 minutes. Comment your thoughts on this week's transfer business in League Two in the comments down below. And what do you say? Have a good one.